You can't fight like 2 days in a row.
Wasn't the Tyson Jake fight, wasn't that amazing?
Yeah. It's amazing they got paid so much money for that.
$25 million.
Last Friday's big ringside fight could be heading to court. A Florida man has filed a $50 million lawsuit against Netflix claiming breach of...
Alongside the floppy streaming platform, Netflix iron Mike Tyson and Paul have been sued for organizing and streaming a scripted fight in the disguise of a professional boxing match. Renowned UFC commentator Joe Rogan has commented on this latest news development on the fight that was fought on November 15th. Netflix came under fire for a very poor streaming experience, as many subscribers could hardly watch the fight while it was on. Also, the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulations came under fire for sanctioning a fight between fighters who weren't only 31 years apart, but who had no other thing in mind than staining the sport of boxing with a clearly scripted fight. These two mishaps have led to the filing of lawsuits against Netflix and Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. The case involving Mike Tyson and Jake Paul found its major evidence in the fight script that was leaked before the fight, which proved that both fighters fought according to the script and only changed the result because they were aware it leaked.
Years ago, now this script has went viral. Let's see how accurate it was. The opening bell rings, Tyson is showing flashes of his old form, which actually happened. As soon as the bell went, Mike Tyson came out with that head movement pushing forward. Immediately he stalks forward with his...
But for the round scripted in the leaked script, Tyson and Jake Paul played along, which was exactly Joe Rogan's issue with the fight. It seems so much like the fight was on Netflix because they wanted to give their subscribers a show. Well, did they get it? Not entirely, but was one of either Tyson or Jake Paul holding back well per the YouTuber turned boxer? He sure did take his foot off the gas when asked. Paul said, yeah, definitely a bit. I wanted to give the fans of the show, but I didn't want to hurt someone who didn't need to be hurt at.
At any point did you start to take your foot off the gas just a little bit because you noticed he was tiring out?
Yeah, definitely a bit. You know, I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone that didn't need to be hurt.
That someone being Mike Tyson. In fact, the 27-year-old even said the former world champion's punches didn't have an impact on him. I tried to give the best fight I possibly could, but when someone's just surviving in the ring, basically it's hard to make it exciting, and I couldn't really get him to engage me. Jake Paul may have bowed down to Mike Tyson in the final few seconds of the bout on November 15th, and this was another major evidence used against the pair.
Did you feel Mike's power at all?
No.
He hit you with one, and you gave him the tongue.
Only because the crowd got turned up, but it didn't actually hurt. But I mean,
for Netflix, a class action lawsuit has been filed against Netflix by a Florida resident, Ronald Blue Denton, who alleges that the streaming service's technical failures during the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight ruined the viewing experience for countless subscribers, according to TMZ. The lawsuit contends that Netflix breached its contract by failing to provide a stable stream despite announcing the event as the most streamed global sporting event ever. 60 million Americans were hyped to see Iron Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet, versus YouTuber Turner prize fighter Jake Paul. What they saw was the baddest streaming on planet. The court documents obtained by the outlet read,
after subscribers dealt with buffering issues during the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. The lawsuit says at least 97,000 reports were received during the event.
Denton alleges that millions of viewers, including himself, encountered reoccurring technical issues such as buffering glitches and complete outages during the broadcast. The much-awaited Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson clash finally arrived on November 15th after a summer delay, but the night turned into a digital disaster as the boxers entered the ring. The streaming platform faltered, leaving viewers stranded in a sea of buffering and glitches. Social media was flooded with angry reactions. The incident even raised concerns about the platform's ability to handle future major sporting events such as the upcoming NFL.
In breaking news, streaming giant Netflix is being issued a class action in relation to the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. TMZ reports the lawsuit is over streaming issues and a breach of contract. Thousands of viewers claim they had trouble watching the.
Several professional boxers, athletes, and celebrities expressed their disgust after hearing the fight was scripted. Among them was Joe Rogan, who didn't only rant about the scripted nature of the fight, but also about the fact that the two fighters have also been sued for faking the fight after it was licensed on professional grounds. Ever since the fight was fought, Joe Rogan's podcast has been busy with discussions on what exactly happened during the fight.
That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get hurt.
He's still quick.
Oh yeah, he's still very quick.
Dude,
but you know,
he
Mike had,
stinks.
like, he was walking with a cane just like a year and a half ago. He had
Shape.
bad sciatica.
Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson scripted? That's the question that popped up on one of the most recent episodes of Joe Rogan's podcast. After people witnessed Tyson look slow and sluggish, even though the veteran was the hero coming into the fight, boos was heard all across as the fight was coming to an end, and several fans even left the venue before the scores were announced. Now we already know that the bout was controversial because of the age difference between Tyson 58 and Paul 27, but what does Joe Rogan have to say about the fight outcome? American actor Josh Brolin was on the Joe Rogan Experience, where he brought up the bout that was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get her. He's still quick. Oh yeah, he's still very quick. But you know, Mike had like he was walking with a cane, just like a year and a half ago he had bad sciatica. The Tyson versus Jake fight wasn't that amazing. Brolin started laughing, after which Joe Rogan whined and clicked his tongue, acknowledging the joke. Joe Rogan replied, "It's amazing they got paid so much for that. I think $20 and $40 million. Yeah, I think that's what I heard, you know, which I'm happy Mike got the money, and I'm happy he didn't get hurt. That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get hurt." Josh Brolin interrupted, "You have known him for a long time. I have known him for a long time." Coming back to Paul versus Mike Tyson, many felt that the marketing for this fight was off the roof, but the actual fight turned out quite a bit, with Mike Tyson's age showing against the young Jake Paul. $1 and $40 million, I think 20 and 40, yeah, I think that's what I'd heard, you know, which I'm happy Mike got the money, and I'm happy that he didn't get hurt. That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get hurt. You've known him for a long time. I've known him for a long time. I love that dude, me too. Tyson only landed 18 out of 97 shots throughout 8 3-minute rounds, while the whole world, including Joe Rogan, hoped for a miracle in Tyson's victory. The outcome of the fight reminded us all of life's ground reality. Age catches up to everyone. But hey, whether scripted or not, the fight's outcome could have been worse. Imagine if Mike Tyson lost via KO. In hindsight, one shouldn't be surprised at the outcome of Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. After all, it is unusual to sanction a fight where the opponents are about 30 years apart. For Joe Rogan, the highly anticipated bout was a stark reminder that past accolades for aging legends don't really help when going up against someone relatively younger and in their prime. On the eve of the fight between the problem child and the baddest man on the planet, Rogan took to X to voice his thoughts on the bout. Heavyweight champion of the world.
And 40 million?
I think 20 and 40. Yeah,
20 and
I think
40.
that's what I'd heard. You know, which I'm happy Mike got the money, and I'm happy that he didn't get hurt. That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get hurt.
You've known him for a long time. I've known him for a long time.
I love that dude. Champion of the world. He was an executioner. Like you,
Truly.
Every fight was just a
I
matter
don't
of how
remember
long was it going to
which
last.
fight it was that I went to go see a couple of fights, and I actually went to go see Julio Cesar Chavez fight, and that's when I met Tyson in the green room. And